Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. Welcome back to the VIP series on Riverview Farm. So, I moved on to the next day, and I've kind of determined I may be having an ongoing issue that, frankly, may be challenging to keep up with, and that is the cow barn. So I'm going to do the best I can. I'm just trying to top things off again this morning. I put 22,000 liters of feed into the barn at about 1900 hours last night. So a little over 12 hours ago. And that feed is gone completely. So what I think we may have reached is kind of a tipping point where it's going to be, frankly, impossible to keep up with the food demands of the cattle in the barn. This barn will allow up to 1,000 head of cattle within it, and I think the food consumption is going to be pretty significant. So the only thing I have as a frame of reference is my main FSN farm, where I had a dairy operation, and I was running into situations where, just trying to get myself as aligned as I can here, but I'm going to cap out at 11,000. But where I had 240 head, which was the max, and I think it was consuming it went through about 100,000 or so liters of food in like 2 or 3 days. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while too, so I guess my frame of reference is really off a bit. But regardless of what it is, I just have to see if this is something I can keep up with. So I had gone ahead, topped off the TMR mixer last night to make sure it kept running. It is basically full. I'm going to be able to go ahead and move 44,000 liters of food over there, and then that will obviously continue to go and operate. Why is this not triggering? There we go. It's always a bit of a challenge here. So I should be in good shape now for this to keep operating without the sugar cane there. It's easier to turn around. So I'm going to go ahead and pop on over to my TMR wagon. I can get things over. So the reason I'm saying it may be something I can't keep up with is this is really the only automated TMR mixer other than a massive operation, which then again becomes something that I'd have to determine, is it viable for a farm my size, because I don't have enough space to really easily place it, aside from the cost. But I think like that would allow, 1 million liters or something to be processed. But then just trying to move it over and so forth, I'd probably need a good portion of the day to fill up the barn, and the question becomes, like, how quickly do they go through that? So what I'm going to try to see now as I fill this up is I'm going to go ahead and fill this up, put in the 44,000, and then go work on the strawberries as I had planned and start getting those moved over. That's certainly going to take hours and hours of my day, and then I can try to remember to monitor the cow situation as I go. And the challenge is going to be, am I at a point where they're consuming faster than the TMR mixer can produce it? And even if they're not, the TMR mixer still, it can run, I think, this entire load through in less than 24 hours, But what I then start to create is a situation where I have no time to do anything else other than run the cow feed process around and around, because I'm basically collecting hay, moving silage, eventually collecting grass, because that's the other issue. Like right now I'm just going from the silage that is stored in that fermenting silo, but I'm now, I think, below 100,000 liters there, and it takes 18,000 liters of silage to fill that, so I've really only got a little over 5 options to fill it, or 5 opportunities to fill it, and then I'll be out, which means I need to cut grass, which means I don't have hay. So you start to see what the cycle I have is. And aside from that, I need to do other parts of the farm. Now, just as with other things in the VIP series, the goal is less kind of realism, keeping everything going in some cases, than it is focusing on the VIP orders. So right now, my driver is I need to get to 215,000 liters of slurry, and I didn't check this morning. I may actually already be there. So that, the reality is, because in FS22 animals do not die because they're not being fed, as they did in FS19 when you were utilizing them, I can just, in essence, let them go dormant and wait until I have another need for them. The challenge becomes if I suddenly get, say, an order of 500,000 liters of silage, then I'm going to have a challenge of how do I fulfill that without running for years and years. So yeah, actually I do have enough slurry, so it'll be more of an experiment at this point to keep an eye on what's happening, because the other challenge is I'm getting to the point where I'm going to max out my milk production, and then they're just not going to be able to produce any more milk unless I sell it off, and I only need 44,000 liters of milk. So I've got more milk than I have silage, and I don't know, or slurry, and I don't know if that's the way it normally operates, because I would think, given that there's a higher capacity of slurry, I would think there would be more slurry produced than milk. But not sure how that is set up to work. So what we may be running into is a sizing issue where whatever barn this was that the map author chose to use, while it can house 1,000 cattle, and I'm sure that's why they chose to use it, because they could get a huge amount of animals in here in just one barn, but if they didn't adjust the feed level accordingly, and kind of make it operate appropriately, and I think that's the challenge, is I don't know that you can make a change to how much a cow consumes. I think that may be coded in Farm Simulator. It's Farming Simulator itself. All right, but at this point I'm going to shift my energy to getting this trailer loaded up and start moving my 99,000 liters of strawberries, kind of see where I'm at against that, and then the slurry can start to operate as well, but not sure which direction I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to step away at this point, keep working through this. Looks like I have some tomatoes here that I need to move out of the way, so I will do that. There we go. Strawberries get put out, and then we'll have a head start with a pallet of tomatoes for our tomato order. But I'm going to go ahead and keep doing this work, and I'll see you in a bit. Gotten a couple loads of strawberries delivered, and at this point I've emptied out the greenhouses, so I've got to wait for that. But coming over here, taking a peek at the grapes, like, we have grapes. So I think this may be where my attention is going to be. So if we look at the map, all the rest of our fields are still in the growing stage. There's not going to be much I can do, but with this ready to harvest, I guess it's worth trying to fumble around and see how this is going to work. Alright, so this is the harvester again. I'm not going to buy that. I don't think that makes any sense. Just looking to see. It doesn't look like we can do anything with the wheels with what we have. So it's going to cost me $12,342 to lease it. Now I am going to need a trailer, so I'm going to go ahead and this I will buy. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and lease it because I'm still trying to understand what I really need. And it's not as if we have that much to go ahead and take care of. Alright, so what I don't know, now I didn't rent this with GPS because I don't have that many vines, and I think it's just going to be easier to go ahead and do whatever we need here. So I'm unfolding the harvester. I guess it did that. Oh, I see, it just raises up. If I turn it on, and see, it just vibrates internally. This has a 3,100 liter capacity, I believe. Alright, well, this is harvesting. So, we'll see what we get out of this. Hitting the posts, I'm assuming. Let me see. This might be easier to do. Maybe. No, clearly not. Because I can't tell where I'm at, so I'm like, it might be easier to do inside, but because I'm staggered off to the side and I can't really tell. Yeah, I can't really get... Oh, I see. On the screen, I think. There's... Although, I don't know if it's really No, it's not moving. Never mind. I'll just try it from here. But it has a 3,100 liter capacity, and then I'm just going to have to figure out, like, how do we unload this thing? I did try to connect up to the trailer that I leased as well, and just couldn't do it. So yeah, it's literally like shaking the vines, and then they're flying off the top here. And I assume the grapes are going... Well, they're clearly going somewhere. Where the somewhere is, I don't know. So, this is definitely something, like I said, I've done it, but it's been so long ago. I was doing it for another farmer. I think once we're done with this, we also then need to run the pruner through. And that may be one of those that I go ahead and say, yeah, we'll pick that up, but not quite sure. So we'll see what it looks like, but one row nearly fills the harvester, so not quite, but 2,700 out of 3,100, so we're going to get a good amount here, that's for sure, because that was part of what the unknown was, whoops. We're not going to get anything if I hang up on the tree and lose my entire harvest. Let's see. Oh, how did I end up 2 rows over? Obviously, I was not doing really well. Man, it is hard to see. Alright, that should work. Alright, we are harvesting again. So I will just try to... Oh, I must have hit something. I don't understand what. Oh boy, I'm not quite sure. Like, I did fine going the other way, but somehow I'm not aligned here. And my bigger question is going to be, like, am I going to be able to... Alright, let me center that a little more, I think was the challenge. So the question is, can I get in here to harvest. My guess is I'm going to hit things. So I'm going to grab a tractor and grab the trailer, and we'll come over here and hopefully I can unload somewhere, because it's not giving me anything about that. Alright, so you can see I've got some strawberries on the trailer, but I can go with 3 levels to get 18,000. I started to pull out the Landini, so that's why it's kind of in the middle of the road. But let me go ahead and grab this trailer, and hopefully we'll just be able to pull up and unload, because basically I should be able to get 2 harvester fulls. But it's taken us about an hour to get this far. I'd like to obviously get this done today, because I don't want to have to do anything else as far as renting and so forth. But let me try this now. I'm probably going to hit a pole. Yep, yeah, so I can't get in there. My guess is I'm going to have to pull out. So what I probably need to do is, let me reverse here. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. Because, yeah, I'm sure I cannot get off this row. But let me get off the row, and then basically at the end of the row I need to empty. So, alright, well, let's see what we see here. Alright, well, this is interesting. Do I fold? It's like if I fold, what happens? It gets me down there. But yeah, there's like literally nothing. There's no unloading tube. I don't understand what to do here. Because yeah, there was no connection. Alright, well then I'm going to circle around with this and see if I get any kind of a fill indicator or something. I don't know that I will. I mean, it's telling me unload here, but I need to load. Alright, well that's not working. Let me see. Got another idea here. I'm assuming everything's in the back. I'm going to try to, like, back up to the trailer here. There we go. Well, I'm glad I figured that out. That would have been a really irritating thing, to have grapes and not be able to do what we needed, so we'll get this dumped out. As I said, whoops. So next load is we're gonna have some left, and well, maybe, because we did a portion of the row, so we may not get enough to fill 6,000 because we unloaded 3,100. So let's see, turn on harvester, and this becomes again the challenge of basically, I guess, trying to line this up. And there we go. Alright. Boy, oh boy. Just trying to get this moved over enough that I can actually start getting these done. Right, it is on, right? Yes, it is on. There we go. I mean, I knew I had gone a ways, it just didn't seem like I had gone that far, but obviously I had. Alright, so we'll get this done. We're absolutely going to empty it at the end, because obviously if I've got to back up to it, that's going to be a challenge. Almost makes you wonder, although I can only run one of these at a time, makes you wonder if it's worth getting a trailer and having one on each end. Because it was like $800 to rent, so it's not like it was terrible, but hopefully it won't be too crazy. Alright, so wonder if we'll hit 2,000 by the end. We had like 2,700 before, so I'm assuming we only did like 400, so I'm assuming we should get close to 2,300 by the time we're down at the end of the row. I think they're called rows in grapes. I do not know this, so anybody who's worked in a vineyard or knows something about it, enlighten us. What are they called? Is this a row of grapes, or is it something else? Alright, so just as I said, 2,300. So I'm going to go this way, because I'm guessing at this point I need to back up to it, and so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to not go there. The harvester moves fast enough, and then I can just go up and down here. Now the good news is this is probably a reasonable amount of grapes. We're not really going to know until we start getting the production running, but we have time if we need it. Now the question is, you know what, I'm not going to take that chance. I'm worried we're going to have the one end like fall on the ground. I'm going to have grapes on the ground that I'm going to have to like scoop up. So let's not. Alright. So this should fill things up pretty nicely. Alright. And so we'll go ahead, we'll get the next row done. But yeah, we're going to have nearly, we're going to have 8,000 or 9,000 off of 3 rows. So we're going to get like 20,000 liters off of the field, I would think. The question is, will that be enough? We need 10,000 liters of raisins, and then we need like 9,000 liters of grape juice. So we're going to find out in a second, because once I fill this trailer at the end of the row, I've got to go deliver it somewhere, and that will be the grape processing unit, which means we're going to be picking up a new production for the farm again. But let's get to the end of the row here. It is a challenge to drive this, I'll say that. I mean, it's very unforgiving. I suppose that might be why someone would normally use the GPS, because I guess once you line it up, you'd be all set. Although again, my rows were a little bit unstraight when I planted them, so I'm not sure that I wouldn't just be frustrated with the GPS anyway, and then I would have spent money to rent it. It just seems like I'm not far enough over. I think the problem is I'm like looking at the cab that I'm sitting in, as opposed to keeping an eye on where the vines are coming out the back of the harvester, which I assume is what I really need to be focused on. So no reason to assume we're not going to keep getting 2,730 liters or whatever it was off of a full row here. Obviously we're at 2,200. We're not there at the end yet. I'm hoping we have enough room to get off this row. That would be really annoying. I didn't even think of this. The things you don't know that you don't know. But there we go. Alright. So yes, we can dance around here a little bit. Whew. Hopefully, oh boy, that other tree is a lot closer, so I think I'm gonna have to be careful up there of exactly what I do. Alright, so again, I'm gonna back over here at this point, because it's gonna be too much gymnastics. So let me go get this, but yeah, we got 5,400, so we're not even gonna get 600 liters out of that harvester, and it's gonna be time. So I can turn that off so you get a little bit of a view, but so we've got 3 out of what, 1, 2, 3, we got 5 more rows to go. So I shouldn't have too much challenge getting everything done. The piece I'm gonna have to understand is, am I going to need way more grapes? You know, do I need 3 harvests or something to do what I need here? Alright, so again, I want to line up so that everything is where it needs to be. We'll get that out there. There we go. Alright, so we're going to turn that off. And now, I guess we can just drive out to the grape production facility. So it's down here at the south end of the map. That was what I recalled. So let's head on down. And I'm assuming like you don't need a ton, because this is kind of really the trailer the game gives you is 6,000 liters of grapes. So one would think that to do, say, 10,000 liters of raisins, it's not going to be something crazy like you need 10 liters or 100 liters to make 1 liter of raisins. I mean, there is the thought of, obviously, raisins are dried grapes, so in theory, I would need more liters of grapes than I get in raisins, because they would shrink and they'd dry, and I would then have less. But that's assuming that Farming Simulator is logical and that it's implemented in a logical way. But once again, we're not going to go and sell these, because otherwise we can't get the production we need. So we do have to own the production facility, at least for a time. You know, the challenge we start having, but you know, we're not really noticing it. But what it may cause eventually is, if I own all kinds of productions and I'm not actively using them, I'm still going to have daily production costs on these buildings. So it's going to continue to have a higher and higher cost to have them, but I'm not entirely sure you're able to sell productions. Now that I think about it, I don't know that I've ever tried that. So I might not have a choice. But the idea to some degree is, obviously we're getting the VIP bonus, and so hopefully then that would mean that we'd be able to cover these extra costs of owning all the means of production. Alright, so let me just stop here. I understand that means we're gonna have traffic problems. Right, 80,000 pounds. So there we go. We now own that, and we can make raisins and grape juice. So let's take a look at that. Well, let me get off the road, because that's just rude. I know I'd not be too thrilled. So let's see if I can kind of pull in here and then easily do something else. There we go. Alright, cool. Now it's 1 for 1. So that's good. So that basically means I'm going to need 10,000 liters of grapes to make my 10,000 liters of raisins, and then I need 5 to make 4, so there is a little bit of a decrease for grape juice. So I may need a second harvest, but maybe not. We'll have to see how that all plays out. Because if I look at my needs, I need 10,000 liters of raisins and then 9,000 liters of grape juice. So to get that with 10,000 liters of grapes, I'm only going to get 8,000 liters of grape juice, I think. Yes. So I'm going to need close to 11 or 12,000 liters, but right now I'm going to worry about the raisins. Although I could leave both processing, and then I'm just producing both. The challenge is if I don't get, because I have 3 rows, and it really didn't take me all 3 rows. Well, for now, we'll leave both on. So let's just make it simple. We'll dump this in eventually. There we go. And it's going to start producing. Now it does like 6,000 cycles a day, so I don't know how fast it does that, but when we bring our next load, I guess we'll see what kind of production capacity we've got. But at this point, a new chapter again in Riverview Farm here, as we are now the proud owners of a grape processing unit, I think is what that's called. So we're going to keep that work moving along, and obviously we're going to get this harvest done. But now that I kind of understand this process, I should be able to move along faster. So I'm going to go ahead, get myself set with the next load, and once I'm back down here and we're ready to take a look and see what the grape processing unit has done in the time it's taken us, I will jump back in and let you know what's going on. So I'll see you in a bit. Got about 1,500 liters left in the harvester. Had finished 5 of the 8 rows that I've got. So, and we've got 12,000 liters. And then again, another 1,500 in the harvester. So 13,500 out of 5 rows. So I think we'll actually be good, unless somehow the raisins just aren't done in time. But I can probably let both productions go, which will be good, because then they'll just process the grapes and be ready and kind of divide things up pretty evenly. So I'll see you once I get down to the grape processing unit. Alright, here we are. So offload the next trailer. And yes, it is a grape processing unit, but you can see we've already got 140 liters of raisins, 115 liters of grape juice in the time it's taken. So, you know, 10,000 liters is a long way to go as far as everything we need, but, you know, as long as I have 20,000 liters of grapes, I think we'll be good. Alright, I didn't have any trouble getting out of here before. I don't understand why I suddenly can't do this now, but obviously I am struggling. But at this point, you've got a good idea of what we've got going on. I am going to go ahead. Whoa, I really need to pay attention to traffic around here, don't I? I'm always semi-tempted to just turn off the traffic so we can just focus on the farming, but I'm sure it adds some excitement to the videos. Let me know down below, like, should I leave the traffic on? Do you like it? Do you not like it? And, you know, we'll see what people say. I can really likely do it either way. I mean, if I have to turn it off because I'm moving something and it's just becoming impossible to do it, I would obviously do it to get things done and keep going. But right now, other than just not being careful, there's not really a reason to go ahead and do anything. But I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this done. get everything delivered, and then I think, given how late we are now, we're coming up on 4 p.m. Yeah, kind of driving around a blind curve there. This will probably be the end of the day. I think we've got enough work done if we get the grapes harvested. I'll worry about the trimming and all that next time, because I don't want to be trying to do something I've never done before in the dark. So, wouldn't be very fun for you to watch, and I don't think it'd be very fun for me to do. I have a hard enough time as it is staying on these grapevines, and I'm sure the pruner is going to be very similar to the harvester in that it's kind of snug around the vines, and I probably have to be very specific in how I drive with it. So I'll check in here at the end, and we'll see what the end of the day looks like. So I'll see you in a bit. So I'm on my last row, but I'm intentionally kind of up here. You'll have seen on the thumbnail, I'm pointing to that little black piece up there up front, and I identified just in the last row that that's probably the most important piece or most important thing on a grape harvester, because I've determined if I keep that over the vines, I don't run into anything. So I don't know if that's really what its intent is, but that's what I'm using it for. So it's helpful to kind of have this perspective and go ahead and do that. So I'll stop with the really loud harvesting, and I will see you once we're down at the grape unit. Here we are back at the factory. So you can see 3,555 liters. This is the fourth load, so that means we've got 21,555 liters. Now, the sad thing with that is, I am thinking that is going to make us just short. Because, I don't know, maybe we'll get lucky, but that means we have 1,555 liters, and we've got to get 1,000 liters of grape juice out of that. So that we might be able to do it, but I'm going to have to be really careful at the tail end of the factory work to make sure I don't overproduce raisins and consume grapes beyond what I need to go ahead and do that, or I'm going to be really running the risk of not having enough here for grape juice, and it would be kind of crazy to have to go ahead and rent a $12,000 harvester, which I've returned, by the way, because I don't want any additional hour of lease or anything on there. But it would be crazy to have to do that, and then the trailer for grapes just to run, say, 1,000 liters, and it probably wouldn't even be that much. I really was hoping I could get 22,000 liters, and then I kind of felt comfortable that I'd be fine, but that's not what we got. We're about 400 to 500 liters short of that. So as twilight starts to set on the farm, coming up on 6 o'clock, so didn't quite get dark, but pretty nice time of day to be wrapping this up. Definitely really a beautiful time. Alright, so you can see our leasing costs, 13,183 pounds between the trailer and the harvester. But I've got a good amount running through. Again, I'm going to keep an eye on this, and we're probably going to have to work with the productions as we get closer, but right now, they got to run for a while. So another good day on the farm. We've got some strawberries being produced. I can see it looks like we've got another pallet out. That would be at each greenhouse, so that'd be another 1,500 liters of strawberries, but we've got a long way to go. Now, if we take a look, we've only got 36,000 delivered, so barely a third of the order is fulfilled there, but we've got furniture being made in the carpentry shop, I believe is the right one. We obviously now have raisins and grape juice being run through We're growing everything else. So next time, I think we're going to continue to obviously work on the strawberries, but I'm probably going to start moving some slurry next time we're together, because that's a lot of loads. Once again, even if I let the automation do it and let the helper run it back and forth, and it's going to take some time. So we're just going to get going, because at this point we are now just waiting for crops. The big one was grapes, to see if we could get things going, and we've got that. Obviously the other thing we'll do next time we're together is also figure out what we need to do with the vines. I think we have to prune them or something so that they grow back again, but I don't know that we're going to need them. But we're certainly not going to remove them at this point, because we don't need to do that either. So that wraps things up for this episode. As always, certainly please drop a like, please subscribe. It helps the channel, it helps the community grow, and as the community grows, we've got more interaction, and that, I believe, is going to lead to just better and better quality content for the channel as we get more feedback of what people want and keep working on that. So thanks for following along, and I'll see you next time.